Welcome back to our channel,
Welcome back.
Takeste and Jones. I am Living Ishé Reviews. This is
Lisa, also known as the Alkali Yogi.
the Alkali Yogi. And the Alkali Yogi is a chef.
Well, a cook enthusiast, I'll say. So tonight, what do we have? Living Ishé Reviews. What do you have on your plate? Do you care to show and I can explain?
Tonight we have, since it's Tuesday, we have some tacos
Taco Tuesday.
prepared
But there's a twist.
by Alkali Yogi.
These are not just Mexican tacos. These are also Habesha tacos, I like to refer them as. So because I'm Eritrean, what I've done today, is we have some vegetarian fish tacos for our vegan Taco Tuesday night. I have added some berbere to the stir fry of vegetables that you're seeing on the coconut tortillas, making them alkaline, gluten-free, and vegan. And in addition to the veggies, we have a dollop of guacamole, which is also alkaline.
Always trying to steal my food.
I probably will be eating off of his plate because he has 3 and I have 1.
I'm the man. I am the man, so.
Last but not least, we have a dollop of vegan sour cream. I'll be sure to include the some of the ingredients that were purchased for this. Well, what the heck? I'll do a quick little recipe for you in the description box below.
And I'm going to wash it down with my, what is it? Covenanted pomegranate juice. Wait a minute. Pomegranate juice. This is going to be my staple for dinner. Pomegranate juice for the Taco Tuesday. So tonight we're going to talk about Love is Blind, Season 2.
We were compelled, guys. We had no intention of doing this. We were just watching the show because, well, really, I was watching it. He ended up joining me once he got next to me, and he was just like, whoa, he was captured. And so because we found there to be so much content and so many moments of complete hilarity, we're like, why not recap and review it / mukbang? Because that's our thing now. We review, we recap as we're enjoying some delicious vegan, always, sometimes alkaline, mostly alkaline-ish, and always gluten-free food.
So I wasn't a fan of Love is Blind. I was never trying to watch this show. But you know how you somewhere or at home or somebody's house and they're watching something and you didn't, it didn't interest you at first, and then you're watching it and you're like, oh, this is kind of interesting.
And then you get captivated.
Yeah, that's how it was. So we're going to review episodes 1 through 4, or 1 through 5. What they're up to now is 1 through 5. So we're going to recap and give our opinions and thoughts on this show and this season 2. So for me, what I take from this show, the less distractions in life, the better. Because
true, but I just want to add, for those of you that watched season 1, which I certainly did, what you'll find is that there are some history repeating itself, so to speak, in this second iteration of Love is Blind. Because why? Well, humans are going to human. So there might be times where I'm referring to Love is Blind season 1, but I won't do that all that much for those of you that are just now tuning in for the first time, like Living Ishé is doing.
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty interesting. So I think I'm gonna be watching this until it gets stupid. Episode 1. So they had so many characters. Well, it started the season, but somehow we didn't see what happened to them. They just we just seen all of a sudden the strongest connections were just in the show, and everybody else was just gone. So the first person that really the first person that I thought was ridiculous was this guy Shake. I think his name is Deep Shake. or Kashake, Kabi Shake, something. I'll get his
I don't
name.
recall, but we'll call him Shake because
Yeah,
that's what he wants
he
to go
goes by
anyways.
Shake because that's part of his name. And you know, a lot of Indian names, they always give you the shortened version, some easy that everybody can pronounce. Dang, how do we start this? With the first couples and the pods?
So what we see very early on is, like Ishé said, is that the other cast members who don't make very strong connections seemingly fall away early on. And that's kind of what we saw in season 1 as well, is that they right from jump start to hone in on the people that obviously have connections, because although they've started with, what was the full number of females and males? Was it 10 on each side?
It was a lot.
It was a lot, but obviously just because you have a decent sized pool, if you can call 10 or so people a decent sized pool, doesn't necessarily mean that your person's going to be there. So I will give them props for very quickly kind of honing in on the people that immediately made connections. So we have Shake made a connection that was very strong with one or more people. Shane did as well, who's the jock. So Shake is the veterinarian. Shane is not really sure what Shane does, but we'll call him the jock.
Shane is a real estate.
Is he real estate?
He is a realtor.
Is he? Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he's a frat boy.
Well,
he's got to be a frat boy because he acts like it.
All right, we have Jarrett, who makes, again, a number of strong connections, who's the tall black gentleman.
He's the black jock, the black frat boy.
Do we know what he does for a living?
He is a healthcare
consultant.
Consultant.
That's right. He's a healthcare consultant. We've got Nick, who's also very tall, and I thought he was in real estate as well.
Nick, I can't remember what he does.
Okay, tall gentleman, and then last but not least, we have the construction worker, who Kyle, right? So those are the 6 guys that immediately made connections with, let's say, 2 or more women. And it kind of became a battle of, on both sides, what we're seeing is the men being really competitive about the women that they're interested in, and the women being really competitive about the men that they're interested in. Because what ends up happening is they go on these dates in the pods, and then they go back to their respective quarters, and everyone is there to hear about how their dates are going. So they're all sharing this information of, my date with so-and-so is really great. She's now number 1 on my list. In the reverse, you see the women doing the same thing. My date with so-and-so is tremendous, and now he's my first. And so it kind of creates a bit of competition as to how do you keep yourself sort of the most interesting person in the person whom you favor the most. So you see a little bit of tension on both sides, the women's quarters, the men's quarters. And we've seen that even in season 1. Those of you that also watched Love is Blind Brazil, same thing. It kind of incites a bit of competitiveness, which I have to say for me is kind of a problem even in Ready to Love, because sometimes you don't know who's in it for the sake of seeing, and really Married at First Sight too, we could say, right? Because if we're going to bring up, let's say, Alyssa and Chris, the problem with some of these shows is that they incite a bit of competitiveness to the point where sometimes you're looking at them not really sure if they're just here to fulfill their contractual obligations and get to their payday, from which my understanding is you don't get paid until after you've completed the reunion, versus they still really feel that the connection is natural, organic, and free-flowing, and they're sort of, quote-unquote, fighting for the person that they want to be with. But okay, so going back to the connections, we can now kind of do a little bit of a dive into maybe for instance, with Shane, we'll say whom his top 2 were and how that kind of was playing out. We know that Shane had a very strong connection with 2 women, Natalie, and what is the blonde girl's name who's the hairstylist? Really attractive, blonde, blue-eyed. She actually has the platinum blonde hair. Shayna. Because it was going to be Shane and Shayna. Yeah. Right? So I think that was actually around the time that you became very interested, is when you started to see the competitiveness in between, people that were interested in the same person. So What did you get from the Shane with Natalie versus the Shane with Shayna connection? Also, how's your veggie taco?
I was hoping you was going to keep talking so I could finish. But it's good, of course. It's great.
Guys, these are so good and so simple. All you need is some veggies, some berber if you can get your hands on it. Some guac, which is obviously homemade, and some delicious sour cream, which I did not make, but you can make at home very easily, especially if you have a Vitamix.
All right. So, what I thought about Shane and Shayna was they made a good couple. They seem to have a lot in common. They seem to get each other. But what I saw with Shane and Natalie was that, I don't know, he already picked Natalie. They seemed like they was okay, but me just looking at them, I already knew like Shayna and Shane would be better, better acquainted.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that Shane knew that she was Asian? Because they didn't share with us if there was a conversation in which that was revealed or not.
No way.
Because with Natalie, you can't tell. I'm wondering if you think he knew. So you don't think he knew. Do you think that would have had an impact? Do you think that would have impacted his decision in the end?
No.
Really?
Nah. I did at first, but from what I saw, she had just as much. She had just as much competition as the other one had. I just think they just connected on a different level. And I don't know. I don't know why they actually, I can't see the thing that really made them connect to each other.
Small talk?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, because some of the people were asking some of the people were just crazy on there. Like, there's this one lady, I think her name was Kara, and she was asking Shane, she seemed really shallow because she was like, oh, do you sell a lot of houses? Because if you're attractive, I assume you sell a lot because you're attractive or something like that. Like, it was like, wait a minute, you're supposed to get to a deep connection. That's just surface level stuff.
Let me just put in there for those of you that watched season 1, Shane is like this season's Barnett. He's the jock. Attractive, all-American white guy. That's who Shane is.
So,
guys, this taco's out of this world.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to do this one.
It's what?
Hard to do this one while eating.
He's from California, so he's very particular about his tacos. The fact that an Eritrean, Italian, Canadian can make him a taco that he likes.
Yeah, this is impressive. Okay, so so Shane is the frat boy who admittedly feeds off other people's energy. So, and the consensus is he's got an annoying voice and he's goofy.
Who said that? You?
Everybody. All the women said something about his voice, especially you'll see down the line. But, okay, so let's go to Shake. So, Shake connected with Deep Tea. Mm-hmm. Call her Deeps for short.
Who's also Indian like him.
Indian, yeah. And she told him that, which was like, I think it was a cheat. Because she shouldn't have told him that. Not like, no, the thing about these two is they both ran away from their culture. So they're used to dating white people. He's used to dating white girls with blonde hair, blue eyes. She's used to dating white boys with blonde hair and blue eyes. And I guess now they want to make it right to get back to their culture, to their roots. Kind of weird that they go on the show. Right. Yeah, I mean, you come from a culture of arranged marriages, and you might as well. I mean, you got better. I think there's better odds doing that. But this was fun. So, Shake Shake was throwing loaded questions at all the women because Shake is kind of he's another uh
He's an East Indian frat boy.
no he is shallow. He is all about the exterior, which for this show it says love is blind, so you ain't supposed to be about that. So
that's right. You're not
all the
supposed
women,
to be.
yeah, all the women he asked loaded questions to see what they weigh or how big they are. Like one of his questions was, "Do you like working out?" You say no, he's like, which is funny because he don't look like he works out. But anyway, one time he said, "I like to buy clothes for little girls, for girls." So what's your size? I was like, man, this dude is a cornball.
He should have been disqualified.
Yeah.
Honestly. And then what he did to Deeps, which was horrible. I like to put women on my shoulders.
Yeah,
at concerts.
I like to pick women up. Would I have any trouble picking you up at a music festival to put you on my shoulders?
See, Deeps was quick with it, and she just like, sit.
Yeah, because he's superficial, and he kind of said that that's a flaw of his, but I don't think he's gonna grow out of that anytime soon.
No, but we're gonna pray for you though.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only reason any women was attracted to him because he's pretty much an asshole. You know, assholes are attractive to women.
Not all women.
All right, so these people are in their 30s. Okay, so there
Maybe
you go.
to young women in their 20s. I don't know.
30s
a lot of
is
these
pretty
women
young.
are in their 20s. Some of these men are in their 30s.
Yeah, so the range is what, late mid 20s to mid 30s. All right, okay. So well, anyway, you got Shane and Natalie. They connected right away, and he even says he's a huge tool. Like he is a tool, an asshole. He even admits that. But Kyle and who?
Wait, before we move on, did Shake have another strong connection?
Shane only had Shayla. Shake only had
Deeps.
Yeah. I think he was going for the girl that she's not
looking good.
happened, but she was a IG model. She was talking about all her IG followers, and I have a huge following. I have a lot of friends.
Wasn't that Shayna?
IG. No, that was some chick named Trisha. She was weird.
A couple of people were speaking about their Instagram followers, supporters.
Yeah,
I don't love that word, followers.
I think the producers may have, constructively got rid of those people who are a lot of the ridiculous ones. Obviously there for one reason. Yeah,
because you're kind of circumventing, again, the exercise men, unlike Shade. This season, I don't know if they just didn't show this as much in the first season, but in the second season, you're seeing people trying to sneakily get information that I personally didn't witness in season 1, such as, what is your weight? And then even the girls kind of chiming in on their own, unprompted, to offer information as to how popular they are on Instagram. That's, again, you trying to allude to the fact that you're attractive. Everyone knows that most of the people on the platform of Instagram have retained a lot of supporters because of their appearance, because it's primarily an image-based app, right? That's not to say that there aren't other influencers on the app, obviously, that are more intellectual, academic, etc. But generally speaking, the people with the most visibility tend to be the most attractive people. And that was sneaky of you guys this season, I have to say.
Yeah.
But it really, you're only cheating yourself, because you either have come into this exercise because you genuinely want to see if you can love somebody for who they are past the surface, or you're kind of playing games, really and truly. What do you reckon?
What do I think? What do I think about?
What do you think about the fact that they are so, they're kind of trying to sneak around, what they signed up for, which is to see if they could actually fall in love with someone based on their personality versus anything to do with their appearance and or success on Instagram.
Just young. That's all. The only thing I can think of. just just being young, I guess. They want to try it anyway, any angle they have, you give them. If they don't get caught, I mean, they gonna try it. So let's go with Shayna and Kyle. With Shayna and Kyle, they had a connection. Incidentally, Kyle even says Shane sounds like Beetlejuice. Oh, Kyle said that about
Shane. Oh.
He sounds like Beetlejuice. I don't know if you might be too young to remember that movie. All right, anyway, Shayna is kind of like Shane because Shayna has trouble speaking sometimes. She's kind of like she seems like a jock's girl. She couldn't pronounce differentiate. But she understands not everything should be based on looks, but and she also said that women get wiser as they get older, are supposed to. But that tells me that wasn't the case when she actually saw Kyle. I don't think she was all that attracted to him, even though when they connected, and it's kind of hard to.
So you're right. She said that she was wiser as she gets older, but after her and Kyle initially saw each other, we saw her turn. Actually, no, I would say that it happened even before that, because if you remember, she kind of sort of accepted Kyle's proposal. You could say she didn't put on the ring. So now we're kind of fast forwarding to the part where they kind of make a choice between, there's two strongest connections, we'll say. So with Shayna, she was actually really interested in Shane first and foremost. And actually as a couple, I can see them together better than most of the other pairings in real life. But because she didn't sort of voice her feelings for Shane, who was her number one, she ended up sort of defaulting to number two. So now here's Kyle, who's a construction worker, tall, handsome, and dark, which I don't think is her preference. So whilst she is accepting a proposal from him, she is realizing that she needs to make her feelings for Shane more evident. So she kind of accepts his proposal, which was very sweet and genuine, because he even presented her with his mother's engagement ring, which is huge for any guy to do. When a man presents you with an heirloom like that from his family, whether it be his mother or his grandmother, you know that he is definitive in his decision. He has chosen you. She didn't actually end up putting the ring on, and instead what she did shortly after is she went on down to Shane's pod and kind of asked if there was any hope for them. She said, I actually really feel very strongly for you. I should have told you that before you made the decision to go with Natalie, to which Shane replied, I wish you had told me this 2 days prior. So for me, that was questionable that you would accept or quasi accept a proposal from someone who is genuine and authentic with you, only to then moments later go and almost profess your love to the other person that was on your shortened list. So because of that alone, I don't know that they're going to have a great deal of success. Incidentally, Shane was, sort of teetering between Natalie and Shayna, but ultimately I feel like he chose Natalie because Natalie, do you think it's because she almost walked away? Do you remember his reaction when he made that blunder of, hey Shayna, what are you wearing? And Natalie was like,
yeah, he caught her by the other name.
And she was so devastated when she understood how flirty and how sexual they were being, that she felt that she had been duped. we saw Shane kind of do a quick turnaround, then damage control almost. And that's why I'm not sure that he made his decision based on his feelings for Natalie versus, I don't know, he just didn't want to lose maybe. I don't know.
I think,
give me a male perspective.
No, nope.
You're not going to give me a male perspective?
I don't know, because I don't know what they're doing. Like, I don't know, when he called Natalie by Shayna,
yeah,
he had an excuse right away, which was a little, as they say, gaslighty. He's like, you're talking to other people too, right? It's like, and then he said, look, if I'm a dick, then that's kind of weird. I can't be that much, it was just a mistake. If you think I'm such a big, tool, I mean, they had a little fight, they had a little back and forth. And, but when, Natalie went back to the ladies' lounge, Shayna was happy that she, seeing her kind of coming back upset from talking to Shane. I mean, she was always hoping that they was going to fail so she could have that chance with her. But yeah, I don't know why he did that. I mean, he could have just said, oh, sorry, it's been a long day. I'm sorry about that. I apologize. I just talked to her. And something she said, still in my head, and it must have came out. But to me, I think that was just, that was just a Freudian slip. She was on his mind, and that's what makes you think that, he should have just went for her, because something about her that, kept stayed on his mind.
Well, they were very flirty and very sexual in a way that we didn't, at least the camera producers didn't show us Natalie and him being that way. So I think that's what got him, because they were always talking about what they were wearing, and there were a lot of sexual innuendos and like just intensity. There was a lot of sexual energy. Even though they were in two different pods, you could feel the sexual tension between them. But Shane ends up trying to make a wrong right by going full throttle with her, and then basically asking Natalie to be his girlfriend. Instead of maybe asking for a little bit of middle ground until he could sort out his feelings, or maybe he had, I don't know. But then next thing you know, he comes back and it says, I want you to be my girlfriend. That gets relayed to Shayna. Shayna doesn't fight that. Instead, she accepts a proposal from somebody else, only to then want to backtrack on that proposal. Goes back to Shane and says, I'm sorry, I should have fought for you. And Shane is like, well, at this point, I've already made my choice. It was a lot of back and forth. Messy is probably not the term, because this is kind of the process that they have to go through. It was messy in that he allowed himself to call Natalie by another woman's name. That's the messy part of it.
Well, he should have went for Trisha. She was the freak. She was the one saying, all these guys like me. Like,
she was in a whole other...
she's a freak and an airhead to boot. It was like,
everybody wants me.
all these guys are so excited to talk to me.
I could only wish for that kind of confidence, okay? I'm going to pray on that tonight.
Well, okay.
The whole world wants me?
But
they all want me.
Let's go to Kyle, though. Kyle, when he asked Shayna to marry him, or, he started to get serious with her, she was all with it, but he seems a bit slow. He's just a little slow. Because they both, well, no, I ain't gonna say that. I mean, it don't matter if you finish school or not, but, they both they didn't go.
Shayna didn't go to school either. She didn't complete.
I think they both went, but they didn't. They dropped out of college. Said was for them, but they make good money. So,
right.
I mean, I guess the other aspect is, all your studies, you have to do a lot of research and you learn new things. So it kind of, I don't know, it kind of helps socially a little bit. I don't know. I'm not the smartest guy here in the room.
He only has several degrees, but okay. He's just shading
anyway.
Shayna and Kyle.
All right, let's go to Danielle and Nick.
But wait,
Danielle and Nick.
Yeah, okay, let's talk about
Danielle
that.
is mad insecure from her
Yeah.
childhood.
She, like Deeps, mentioned that she used to be heavier set. So I get that when you have that kind of body dysmorphia. Is that what it's called? Dysmorphia? Put it in the comments below, please. Whatever the term is.
Yeah.
Dysmorphia.
Yeah.
It's dysmorphia. That's what it is. So they both suffer from a bit of body dysmorphia, I would say. I think for Nick, I don't think we saw another really strong... No, there was another strong connection, actually, even with Nick. It was Nick and Danielle, and then there was Nick and somebody else, wasn't there? Am I remembering correctly? It was always kind of Nick and Danielle.
Nick and Danielle were the first people.
Oh, to kind of pair up?
They were the first people to do everything. He was the first to propose, and they were the first to meet.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it was right off.
Okay, so Danielle and Nick paired up very quickly. I think their relationship, well, we're already seeing it a little bit, is the struggle is her body dysmorphia because it translates into insecurity and self-esteem, which many of us women can relate to. However, I will say that Nick seems to be one of those guys that's happy to reassure you to a degree. You can't ask anyone to be responsible for your overall self-esteem, but he certainly seems to be happy to tell you on a daily basis that you're beautiful, that, you know, to remind you that he wants you. He seems that way because he's very in touch with his feminine side. Would you like to add to that?
Her gaydar went off, basically. That's what that equals.
I don't know, but I little bit, and then, you know, Ishé, who is a very shady monster.
I didn't say nothing about him.
When Nick, we're just going to fast forward a moment to when they're in Mexico. When Nick did this, it doesn't seem all kosher.
Well, you know, his hand was kind of, kind of limpy. So maybe he
basically co-signed that Nick is very...
I just said something,
he's
very, he's very something.
Very metrosexual, we'll say.
Yeah, let's say that. Okay, so Danielle is, she has body image issues. Self-esteem issues. So she likes energy. She likes to get energy, to give her some energy, whereas Natalie gets drained by energy. And I think a lot of people got... So when you can't see somebody and you talk to them all the time, you develop emotional connection and emotional attraction, and sympathy will go a long way in getting some of these connections, because everybody had a sympathetic story, it seems like. So, I mean, if you play it right, which a lot of these people did, we'll get to that later. But yeah, like I said, Danielle and Nick, right off, they proposed back on episode 1, and basically they're the first couple. I mean, they were saying "I love you" first, and all that stuff.
Day 5, Nick said within not even a week they were saying "I love you" to each other. But we haven't covered our black couple yet.
Oh, hold on.
Jarrett.
Yeah, but we gotta finish. Hold up. Yeah, okay. Let's go with Jarrett. So Jarrett had 2 connections. Why the brother gotta be messy? But he had 2 connections.
He wasn't the only one with 2 connections.
Nah, but he's the only one. Well, he's the only one that had the craziest connections.
And he was wearing a...
He's wearing his Africa pendant, but his connection was with Mallory, who is Mexican, and I'm like, he's not gonna wear that pendant around her if they meet. And then he had another connection with Ayana, who is a lovely little sweet girl. She's what, like 4'11", 5 feet. She's really small.
She's like a young Halle Berry.
Yeah, she kind of looks like Halle Berry. And so yeah, but his connections was with both of them. With Mallory, because they both are sports enthusiasts. They love sports. And Mallory is kind of like a pretty tomboy. So she can hang with the fellas. Most of her friends are guys, from what she sounds like. and I think they're both from Chicago. Ayana, she's very, she's well put together, well spoken,
all natural.
All natural. And Jared, he communicates with both of these women differently. Like with Mallory, he's like, yeah, cussing, he's like one of the dudes, one of the guys. But with Ayana, he's really reserved and he's really polite, and he kind of watches his words, maybe because he with his sister, which he's like, she ain't gonna, I don't know, maybe it was by design, but yeah, I can just tell how he is with each of them is different. And his strongest connection is Mallory. So,
and he knows her.
Yeah, okay, so now we go into episode 2, which is they start off with Mallory, and she's uninhibited. She's just like, she don't care. She's like just a cool girl who she don't have no boundaries like girly girls. Because Mallory was saying some stuff which was making Salvador. So Salvador is another guy. He is a Mexican guy, and so of course him and Mallory, they had a connection. They both mentioned that they were Latino. So, but Salvador is too he's like a church boy. I mean, he is like just so reserved and so innocent sounding. So she was saying some stuff about sex, and I think they was playing Never Have I Ever, and everything she had to drink. Like all the questions, have you had sex outdoors? Have you had sex here? If you did this, if you did this way. And he was like, he ain't did none of it. So
he's kind of straight-laced a little bit.
Yeah, she gonna rock his world if they hook up. So
and he knows that, and he wants that.
Yeah,
he wants his world
that's
rocked.
different for him. And Shayna was always up and down, watching and hearing about Natalie and Shane. So she was like,
Wait, how did we get back to Natalie and Shane?
Because that's where they came back on episode 2. So yeah, so they keep showing her face being happy when Natalie is upset and then being sad when Natalie's happy. So then they got, because Shane saying stuff to both of these women, not thinking that they in the same lounge, and they each talking to all these women, and everybody knows exactly what you're saying. So
because they have a notebook in case you didn't notice, and then they share notes.
he's slow. He is so slow. I mean, this is what caused Shayna to go to Kyle.
Yeah.
So she pivots to him, and then deep, she had an intuition about Shake, that he was a fuckboy.
You reckon?
Yeah, she had it, because her looks when he was like asking her questions, she'd be looking like, I can't believe this dude is asking me. She should have just went with her gut. I mean, that's probably why she didn't date Indian men, because she's like, these dudes are ridiculous. He ain't even all that to be the way he is. I don't see it. I'm like, why is he so like that? He's all soft and flabby, and he's talking about somebody, do you work out? Like, this guy got some nerve. But okay, so let's talk about Shayna and Kyle.
But I feel like Kyle picked Shayna, I think, relatively early on, and Shayna was in between Shane and Kyle, but really and truly she wants Shane. She's always wanted Shane. I think she tried to play, calm, cool, and collected when she realized that Shane had picked Natalie, which I don't think is a great pairing, but I digress. And so going back to what we said earlier, when, he made his choice to be with Natalie, to progress further in this process with Natalie, she, her and Kyle sort of got a little bit deeper in their conversations as she was trying to suss out whether there was enough of a connection here slow burn that could eventually build into something greater. And what they found out is that they're very opposites. But again, Shayna gives a very sexual, flirty energy. And I imagine that even without seeing her, you kind of get an idea that she's bubbly and blonde and probably attractive. And so when it came down to questions regarding religion, what we saw is that despite the fact that there was a huge difference in how both of them view religion, in fact, Kyle is a self-professed atheist, and she's very Catholic, which makes sense given that she's in the Chicago area, actually. That Kyle was prepared to disregard that like it was going to be small potatoes just for the sake of continuing on with her, because I think he already feels that sort of sexual energy. She gives that off even though she's in a pod, even though you don't see her. She gives off this sexual energy. She gave it to Shane, she's giving it to Kyle. So they're picking up on this. So both of these men are interested in her, even though they've not seen her. Whereas Shayna, she already has doubts about Kyle because he's really her number two. Is like, wait a minute, you're an atheist? So how could we have children together? Because my children are going to be Christian. I don't remember if it was Christian or Catholic. So forgive me if I've mixed those two up. But she's very religious, we'll say anyways. Where he was like, he's basically saying, I don't really care. That's how much I want you. I may not go to church with you. I may not go to church with our children, but I'm prepared to, ease up on how I feel about religion, or maybe not, converse about it consistently with you and daily with you. I'll just let you have your beliefs so that we can just move forward. And she seems to take that on. You can tell she's never really settled with it, but she kind of takes that on, and they get to the point where, as I've already mentioned, he does propose to her with his own family heirloom, which is huge. She at this point accepts, and then goes to Shane. Shane doesn't take her back. Then they finally meet